Fantasy Battles 6 commission build. Yes, it is. Actually, it will work for Warhammer Fantasy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and probably even 7, 8. And did they get up to 9? I can't remember. Probably wouldn't work for Age of Sigmar, but I am going to be making some Age of Sigmar scenery at some point in the future. It will work for loads of other systems, for Burrows and Badgers, definitely, for Malifaux, probably, Bolt Action, other historical games. It will work really well for Victoriana type games like my very own game End of Empire. Pretty much actually any game set in Britain or Northern Europe post the year 1500 really. It's going to be a pretty versatile model. This week and in this video, and probably another one at least I should think, I will be making the Black Dragon Inn. Yes, you guessed it, you've heard it right, well done you. Tim is making another pub. This one is being made for Black Dragon Miniatures in Hinckley in Leicestershire. I know they like to play their Warhammer up there. They've been having lots of games of Warhammer Fantasy Battles 6th edition, and Black Dragon have been putting loads of battle reports on their YouTube channel. So if you fancy that, check them out. There have been some really good games there. There's a link below. Go and check out Black Dragon Miniatures. I, on the other hand, I'm going to make an inn. I'm going to make an inn... well, originally my original designs had it looking pretty much like a lot of other models I've made, so I've kind of changed that around a little bit. This model then is going to be on a 1 foot by 1 foot square, and the plans and the 1 foot by 1 foot square are down here. So come over here, check it out, come and have a look, come right down here. Right then, before we get on with this build, I'd just like to get you to indulge me for a couple of minutes and I'll talk to you about my new Patreon page, patreon.com/Magrathea Builder of Worlds, down there already. This channel's been running for just about a year now, and I've been amazed, constantly surprised by how many people want to watch. And over that time I've also had loads of people ask me that they'd love to support the channel one way or another. Have I got a Patreon? Well, now I do. I have a Patreon, and amazingly, in the very first week, by the time I'm making this video, which is only about 5 days since I set it up, these people here already have signed up to be patrons, as have these people over here. Thank you so much, I can't believe it. There are 2 levels of patronage on my Patreon page, the Dent and the Prefect. They're only £3 and £5. Whichever you sign up for, you will get access to exclusive videos, mainly in the first instance, or certainly bloopers videos, various times with me actually uncut, sat in the workshop, actually making a mess of it, and using the actual language that model makers use, as opposed to the nice language that I like to try and use when I'm making my videos. Then you also get access to a quarterly draw, a raffle if you like, either 1 ticket or 3 tickets per draw, and the first one of these draws is going to be on the 9th of August. The 9th of August is the anniversary of the first time I put a build video on this channel. I'd put other stuff on beforehand, and I'd even put a book nook build on it, but the first time I'd put a wargaming piece of scenery on was on the 9th of August. So I'm going to be making a draw on the 9th of August, and the winner of that draw will get to talk to me about having a commission piece of scenery made for themselves. Twice a year I will do commission builds for patrons, and twice a year I'm going to give away a piece of my scenery to a patron. You won't get any choice about what you get. It's what I fancy getting rid of or clearing out or making available to somebody else. But if you want to be in that first draw for the 9th of August, you need to be a patron. So please do click on the link in the description down below, and I'd love to have your continued support as we carry on building Magrathea Builder of Worlds. Anyway, thanks for that. Let's get on with the build. Over here. No, come here. No, come here. Come closer. Come closer. Come closer. Come down here. Come over here. This is where it all's happening now. Right now. Right now. Now, before we actually take a look at the design, or as it's going to turn out, probably the not design, I think it needs to be pointed out a couple of things. First of all, it's a good long time since I've played Warhammer Fantasy Battle. In fact, probably 6th edition was probably the last version I played. I don't know, I can't remember. I've only really got one for Warhammer army left now from that period, and that is my Empire army, quite large, in a bloody great big case. I think in the loft. It's not even in my main figure store because it's one of those ones I've kept for kind of like sentimentality reasons. Although Warhammer 6th edition especially, or 5th and 6th together, has seen quite a resurgence recently. There are quite a few people playing it, so you never know, I might get a game out of it. It's a very good version of the game, probably my favourite version of the game, around about there. You never know, I might get a chance to go over there and play a game of Warhammer at Black Dragon Miniatures. That'll be pretty cool. It'll be like an absolute blast from the past. I'll have to kind of blow the dust off the old Empire chaps and kind of like get a bit up to date on the rulebook. Blimey, I'll have to see if I can find a rulebook. Who knows? But having said all that, it's worth bearing in mind the game I've made the most fancy scenery for in the last few years has been Burrows Badgers, which actually is really quite a different scale. I want this model to be a versatile model indeed. I want it to be able to be used for Warhammer. Originally, when we talked about making this, it was going to be a B&B model, but I want it to be, now we've kind of like moved towards making it a Warhammer model, but I also want it to be able to be used for all sorts of other things because it's going to get used in the shop and I want it to look right. So I'm not going to go all out Warhammer skulls on absolutely everything. I'm going to go for that Northern European, English, medieval, Renaissance-y and then later look. So actually I want this model to go with all of these models. Check these out. Right, the first issue I've got then, as I was saying, is scale. These are the kind of figures that I've been used to making models for recently. That's a small, a medium and a large beast for Burrows and Badgers. So it doesn't even include the biggest models, but these are on 30mm and 40mm bases. And the shrew, the little fella on the right hand side, is still quite a sizable figure when you stick him next to a Warhammer Fantasy Battles 6 figure. There we go. Actually, that's Braganza the Besieger, who's maybe a little bit older. But so the little dudes are about the same size. The bigger dudes are much bigger. I'm going to have to bear that in mind when building this model. This model then needs to look right with these guys. It also needs to look right with these figures. Warhammer figures, Mordheimy characters and that kind of thing. I also want it to look right with historical figures, although some might say there's not a great deal of difference between these 16th century figures and my Empire army. They're pretty similar, but these are all models from a game that I was playing 12 years ago called 1588 and all that, and it's a kind of like links my wargaming hobby and my reenactment hobby all together. In fact, there's a little me for the tabletop. Right. But along with that then, so I want it to look right in the 16th century. It's going to need to look right with these figures, which are 19th century figures from my game End of Empire. A Victoriana, Cthulhu-esque adventure game, skirmish type thing, set at the turn of the 19th century into the 20th. Right, the first thing you do then when I make a commission building is sit down and draw. Drawing buildings is probably one of the only things I cannot feel fairly confident in doing. This was my original design for the Black Dragon Inn. It's going to be on a 12-inch by 12-inch board, which is the standard size that I build commission builds on. So if you are lucky enough to win my Patron draw for a commission build, it will be on a 12 by 12 board, like this one's going to be. This then is where I started off. I'm thinking of a stone lower section, ground floor we call that in the UK of course, first floor if you're across the pond, and then half timber on top with a roof. Walled yard, stable buildings and bits and pieces out the back depending on how much space it all allows. So this is kind of like my first thoughts, and we're going to have Black Dragon here. It says Black Dragon here, but actually I'm going to have a Black Dragon in that space there. That was my first kind of idea, and this was the floor plan. So long rectangular building, kitchen snug, bar, central fireplace, easy peasy, backyard, stable and store. And I looked at that today and actually thought, well, I quite like that, but do you know what? I've built buildings like this before. And what I don't want to do for Gary is just repeat something I've done before. So I've decided to change this design a little bit, and instead of having this double doorway here, I'm going to go with a proper traditional English inn, roadside inn kind of feel, and it's going to have an archway through here, all the way through to the backyard. So I'm going to get rid of, let's have a look, I'm going to get rid of this back gate here. There'll be a little one-person size gate still, but I'm now going to drive an archway through the building here, and I'm going to have two separate bits of building, and then the bit above is probably going to stay quite similar. Chimney then's going to have to move as well, because we ain't going to have a central fireplace there. That is where the archway is going to go. So this is the challenge. Let's see how it works out. Alright, so there's a 12 by 12 piece of hardboard. I've cut this out already, I'm not going to bother doing that in the video, and I've kind of chamfered off the edges a little. I need to sand those down, and then I think actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a go. I'm going to wield my Sharpie, or pencil first and then a Sharpie so you can see it, on here, and to get a bit of an idea of what the floor plan is going to be. I'm going to build the base of this model first of all, and I'm going to do that in 10mm XPS foam. So the bottom of it is going to be polystyrene, which means there's going to be a certain amount of rolling of tinfoil on XPS and scribing of brickwork. But you've seen that before. Well, we're going to see it again, because that's what happens when we're building a building like this. Okay, this is the 12 by 12 tile with a floor plan drawn on it. This is how I start. So you can see there, these black shady bits of doors. I'm already setting myself up for a massive job, because of course they all comes apart. Proper Warhammer buildings don't come apart, but I want this to be as usable for Gary as possible. So we've got the archway going through here into a bit of a backyard, a little stable there, and a gateway out the back over here, wall, and then we've got here, we've got main lounge, if you like, and this is the saloon over here, kitchen out the back, staircase up onto the first floor, fireplace, and these blocks are going to be windows. So that's quite a lot of 10mm wall I'm going to have to make. That's definitely going to be the first job. Finding it, measuring it up, texturing it, working out where all the bits are going to go, door wides and windows, and then scribing the brickwork. And that should keep me busy for a little while. Oh yes. After the complete disaster in the middle of the week of getting ready to do some modelling and actually get on with this model, and discovering that I had no 10mm XPS foam, it's arrived. This is better be foam. Styrene, otherwise this model ain't going anywhere. There we go, people. I've got to admit, right, I'm almost as excited about opening this box, this package of 10mm XPS foam, as I have been this week about opening the amazing new Oathsworn Miniatures Kickstarter figures that arrived. And oops, I might also have bought Warhammer Age of Sigmar Dominion as well. Lots of new toys, lots of things to play with. But right now, the cool thing is polystyrene. Check it out. There you go. 2 sheets, big things. What's that, sir? Like 60 by 120 centimetres. Nice. Yeah, about £6 a sheet. I can now get on with making the walls for the Black Dragon Inn. Fantastic. Let's crack on. Going to measure, and then we're going to cut, and then we're going to texture. Well, we're going to cut out. Yeah. I'm going to measure most of the walls and draw them onto the polystyrene. Then I'm going to texture them before I cut them all out, because it's a lot easier to roll over tinfoil over a large piece of styrene than it is over lots of individual pieces. So that's the plan, that's the thing. It's got a great big bit of cardboard now, don't know what to do with it. Could come in handy as well somewhere along the line. But actually one of these is going to go straight back in this and get put in the garage, because I only need one. But I always like to keep spare in the store until you run out, and then you look a tit when you can't do what you want to do. Right, I'm going to tidy up. I'm going to get on. Sorry, I know. I should be making some scenery, but I got distracted by these new Burrows and Badgers figures that arrived. They're so cool, look. New Badger Archer, just gorgeous figure. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And this puffing pirate dude is just insanely good. So yeah, I kind of, yeah. Sorry, I need to get back to building buildings, but yeah, they're just toys and they're really cool. Right, okay, stop. Come on, Tim. Discipline, get discipline. Come on, make the model, make the damn model. Badger! Right, so I've cut myself some 10mm XPS foam. There it is. Now I finally got it. And the first thing I'm going to do to this, before I even mark out any walls or do any scribing or brickwork, is I'm going to texture this to give it a rough texture, because at the minute it's very, very smooth. So for those of you who haven't watched me work with XPS foam before, if you didn't watch the Red Wall build, if you didn't watch the Red Wall build, go and watch the Red Wall build. All 5 videos of it now. Go and do it now. Go on, off the trot. Good, right. Or the Stoke Barts haulage yard. That'll do it too. In fact, go watch all of those. And then, in fact, make sure you subscribe as well. And then you won't miss any others. If you have watched all of those videos, you'll know what's coming next. And if you haven't, well, it's tinfoil. We're doing the tinfoil dance because it's late at night. Right, okay, so what we're doing is we're taking a sheet of tinfoil off the roll. We are rolling it up into a ball. Thus. Pretty random. And then all I'm going to do is roll the tinfoil over the surface of the XPS foam. I'm probably only going to roll it over one side of the foam, because the other side of the foam is going to be the inside bits of wall in most cases, and that will probably be plastered and doesn't need the same kind of texture as the outside of it. You can see there's definitely a difference in texture. The colour on the video shows that there's a change of texture. You can't really see the texture change, but it definitely helps when you're painting. Gives you actual kind of like texture to paint over and dry brush over. So although it's a pain in the neck doing it for a few minutes, it does make a big difference in the long run. However, a bit like a number of other techniques, probably one of the reasons why I don't do this live is because texturing XPS foam is not very exciting, really. So come check it out when it's done. Okay, so the first issue when you're making this kind of model actually is deciding on a scale. Size for things like walls. I'm cutting across walls to go across these front bits of the inn first of all, and I've decided that I'm going for 2 1/4 inches in height on the wall, which is just about 6.5 centimetres. That means on a 28mm figure, on a Warhammer figure, that'll be alright. That'll be the door in there. That'll be okay. For Victoriana figures, slightly lower base, it's still quite a large wall. Decent height though, it's not bad. This is a big Burrows and Badgers figure. It's a large, it's an otter. It's not the biggest, but then that will still be alright. Getting the balance right when you're trying to make a model that's going to work for a number of different systems is pretty tricky, but we're going to give this a go. Hopefully it's going to look alright. So I'm going to cut this one out and see where we are. I like working with 10mm XPS because with a brand new knife blade, it cuts pretty easy. I'm not using a hot wire cutter or anything here. Well, that's mainly because you get a nice, decent, straight, flat cut with a sharp blade, although it does wear your blades out pretty quick. And I'm not, although I like using XPS foam for these builds nowadays, I'm not a brick cutter. I admire model makers who sit with their proxons and cut brick after brick after brick for their models. It just seems a bit excessive to me. That and the fact that most of the time, for most models, the bricks they're cutting are actually architecturally way too big. And you just get these great big buildings that look like they're made entirely out of breeze blocks, or blocks that are even bigger than that. And that kind of works for castle walls or wizardy towers, but actually for houses, it doesn't really work for me at all. I much prefer scribe brickwork into the polystyrene, which is a bit of a faff and it takes a little while, but actually I think it's a more pleasing effect. So I'm not cutting out individual bricks, but I will be drawing individual bricks on here. It's kind of probably 6 of one, half a dozen the other. Apart from it just seems a bit counterintuitive, really, cutting up all the tiny little bits of polystyrene to stick them back together to make a big piece of polystyrene. I can't like sticking with a big piece of polystyrene in the first place. So I need to start cutting out and making walls now, and working out where windows and things are going to go. I'm reckoning that I'm going to need at least a couple more bits. I've got 3 bits of 2.5 inch cut, but 1 foot, 2 foot. Yeah, I'm going to need more. Right then, so going with my floor plan, I need to cut this. This piece is going to be 4 inches wide, and this piece is going to be about 4.5 inches wide. And then I'm going to draw in the windows and the doors, roughly where they're going to go, and then I'll scribe brickwork around the outside of that. And obviously this bit here in the middle I'm going to cut out. I might be able to use somewhere else. Probably one of the wall sections over here on this stable block at the back. Yeah. Alright, okay, so let's measure that. So we're going to do front walls and then side walls. This tiny bit of wall back here is going to need texture on both sides, because this is going to be brick wall in the stable yard. So that's going to be separate to this bit. Whereas this piece over here, I'm thinking, yep, it's going to be one great big long stretch of foam. As is that bit all the way across the back over there. Okay, let's get to it. Okay, so these are the walls for this section here, the downstairs front right. And what I've done is, what we got? This bit, that's not one of them, this is the left front. So I've got the front wall, the rear wall and the 2 side walls. I've drawn in the windows where they're going to go. These are 3/4 of an inch off the ground, and these are 1 inch tall, because these are on the front of the pub. They're quite big, and they will end up with a bit of wood in the middle, and they're about 3/4 of an inch from the top as well. I've drawn in lintels and window sills on each, and I've done that with the door as well, which is taller. The door is about 1 1/4 inches wide, so for 28mm figures it's absolutely fine. For some of the big Burrows and Badgers figures it would be a squeeze getting in there, but hey, going in a pub, who cares? So I've drawn the lintels in here as well. Now I'm going to scribe in the brickwork, and on these 2 end walls I've also got to make sure that I texture these exposed ends here and draw in the brickwork too on both sides when I cut that off, because they'll be the bits that are showing, so that's quite important. But I'm not going to do any of that now because it's about 2 o'clock in the morning, so I'm going to go to bed now and do it tomorrow. Laters. Okay, so I textured the insides of the walls. Both sides of the walls have been rolled over with the tin foil, because the inside, even though they're not going to be brick, will be plaster. And of course I drew on some of these, but actually in some cases, like this one, I drew on the inside, on the windows and things, but that's actually the inside, so I've got to draw on the outside too. So I've now started to scribe in brickwork, texture down the side. This is the chimney, and this is going to go on this wall here, like that. Scribe. I'm going to have a chimney on there, and that's going on the side here. I'll have to cut another piece to be the chimney on the inside as well. I'll do the same over the other side. So here we are, this is the first set of walls made for the first part of the building. So that's front, back, inside, that's inside the arch there, this is outside. 2 separate bits of chimney as well. Stick on there, so I'm going to stick all that together, hold it together with pins while it dries, and then I'm going to do this bit of building over here. Let's see if I've got enough Gorilla woodworking glue, which is what I normally use, which I seem to be a bit thin on the ground on. Especially now I've spilt some just over here. So I'm sticking this together now. I've put Gorilla Glue on here, it's been on a little while, so it's kind of like starting to go off a little, which is the best way to make it work because it works better as a contact adhesive then. But I'm also using flat-headed dressmaking pins that I'm pushing right into the model, which will get lost in the gaps. And a couple of places on each corner to hold it together to let it dry. Now if I remember, I'll take them out after the model's completely stuck together. They don't need to be. In fact, they add a bit of structural integrity, helping provide a better bond than just glue alone. So one over there. Now, I've seen lots of people build their models at this point around Lego bricks, but actually I don't mind if I don't have perfect 90-degree corners, to be quite honest. This building represents a period of building where things are a bit wobbly, so I don't mind if it's not perfect unless I'm doing it entirely by eye. Please note I also use the correct term there, Lego, Lego being a plural noun. So it's not built around Legos, it's built around Lego bricks. One piece of Lego, 2 pieces of Lego, not 2 Legos. So this is going to stick and dry onto the base. Holding that in place there like that, and I will have to of course tackle staircase. This model is going to have a minimal number of staircases because stairs are a pain in the ass, but there will be stairs going into this. I've got stairs planned to go into this building, this side of the building here. So there we go, that's that stuck on the baseboard, roughly speaking. It's pretty square. See pretty much where I kind of drew it, considering I drew it just with a ruler and Sharpies. That gives me my feel for the first building, part of the building there. There we go. Chimney in place, it's going to need a little bit of filling down there. Not far off from where I had it though. Now I'm going to work on this part of the building. So this is going to be a longer wall. I've already cut out the front wall. Did that when I was doing the other bit, and then these 2 walls here I'm going to do all in one long piece, and then probably one long piece of wall right across the back as well, which means I might have to cut out some more styrene because I only got 3 bits done. Yeah, although I might use 2 long bits and short part there just to do this back bit and do that as a separate bit of wall. We'll see. I've also got to do this internal wall as well. Okay, let's crack on. Alright, scribing bricks. Yeah, scribing stonework. Like normal scribing and stonework. As I've done this bit here already, well, you can't see that, as I've already scribed all of this. I've already scribed all of this. I'm bored, especially as I've got to scribe the outside walls of the stable and yada yada yada, but it is effective and it's got to be a goddamn sight quicker than cutting out individual stones. And the thing is with this is even these
This stonework is probably too big and chunky for the scale of the model involved. It is a bit closer and can be a bit more haphazard than individual cut bricks, so I'm still happy to go with this. However, I reckon you've probably seen enough of that now, to be quite honest, haven't you? And you can't even see it, look. Here we go. There are the bricks. They'll work down this way, you might see that a bit better. It's only a case of literally drawing in different rows. I'm not worried about this being really hugely accurate, full-on English brickwork or whatever. It could be a bit haphazard, like I said before. It is a fantasy building and a bit medievally, so from that point of view it doesn't matter if the bricks aren't perfect and beautifully straight rows. That's an impression of brickwork I'm going for more than anything else. Nearly there. Alright, here's a nice example of a bit of a cock up. I cut this wall here. I cut this wall too short, and although I said I don't want right angles, it was way too short. So I've put glue down this strip here, and the nice thing about working with foam like this is I've got a sliver of foam about the right thickness, which is about 2 mils thick. I've slotted it straight in there, you can see that, and then when that's glued in I'll be able to draw in lines there. Should be absolutely fine. Especially as we're going to stick pins through it now to hold it all in place as it glues. There we go. 1, 2. Right, so here's the ground floor of the 2 buildings done. I've got to put a wall in here with a doorway into the kind of like kitchen area, and then round the back need a wall here and a wall going across here with a door in it and the stables. But that's pretty good progress. That's going to enable me pretty quickly to be able to get on with the first floor, which I'm probably going to do in foam core because I'm going to stick bolts on the outside of it. Although I'm quite liking, I might do it again in more 10mm XPS purely because it's easy to texture. If I roll the texture on the wall, it means I don't have to mess around with filler trying to texture it. So I'll see how we go. Cracking on though, looking good. So apologies for the lighting in here because I'm in a different location for the moment for reasons. What are we doing now? Well, right now we're going to make the back wall section and the stable block, and we've got to put a wall in on the ground floor here of the inn, and then we've got the first part all done. Then we're going to add the first floor. So let's crack on. I'm going to cut a strip. Looks like 2.5 inches tall. I'm going to scribe the bricks on. You need 3 points to make a straight line. Okay. Look at that. Totally failed to cut that on the line, didn't I? Bugger. Right, okay. And then this is going to be the internal wall, which is great because it doesn't need any further texture. Going to make a better effort to cut this piece as well. Here we go. Right. This end fortunately is the right height. 3 3/4 inches. So, loads of scribing later, I've decided to change the layout of the backyard. Stable's now going here and not across here, just because that'll give more room there, I think. And now the back wall goes across there like that, which actually gives enough room for troops to assemble outside that. And the stable's gone. Symbolic, nice run through there, which is quite cool. So now we're going to, what are we going to do now? Now we're going to stick these walls down, and we're going to think about building the first floor. All of the windows are going to need some kind of woodwork, I think. I'm probably going to put balsa wood trim in all of those, but I'm going to do, I think, all the balsa wood in the next video on both levels. First floor is going to be made out of foam core. That's the next job after I've stuck these walls down. So here we go again. Gorilla working glue, let's stick walls. Alright, before I make the first floor then, I'm actually going to put paving slabs in. All of this I want to have cobbles or paving slabs. So I'm going to use thin cardboard. This is from a Diet Coke carton actually. I cut up loads of squares, I'm going to stick them in here, and then we're going to sand and stone inside and out, flagstones. That'll be a decent surface to paint on it. So that's the next job. I'm going to cut up rectangles, cut them out with a pair of scissors and stick them in. Yeah, it'll look cool. Not very exciting, but it's going to look alright. That's the whole model with flagstones. I've got sand inside the stables here and around the outside. I've added XPS stairs here. It's going to be the only set of stairs in the model because it's going to take up too much space. I need to seal the whole of this base level, this ground level, with Mod Podge, so it's going to be paintable. Next job, crack on with the first floor. Foam core build, that's going to be tomorrow night's job. Back in my workshop this evening, which is good, and I want to get on and make the first floor, but what I'm going to do before that is I'm going to just sand around the base, let that go off, because then the only other thing that we'll then need doing is going to be the sealing of this with Mod Podge. So literally taking Mod Podge. First job is gravel. I'm going to use 2 grades of gravel on this model, or 2 lots of yeah, I'm going to use 2 grades of sand and gravel on this. Sand first of all, and then gravel. No, wrong way around. I'm going to use 2 grades of gravel and sand. This stuff, which is aquarium gravel, nice little stones, and then my usual kind of coral sand, which is a mix of different grades really, and now actually it's got various stones and things in it too. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to place a few splodges of Yoo-hoo in a couple of places to put on, fix on some bigger bits of stone, making sure I don't go too close to the XPS foam, of course, because this Yoo-hoo is solvent based and will eat the XPS foam. Especially have some gravel, chunkier grade gravel around the outside, and I'll let that go off, and then I'll glue Mod Podge sand on as well. There we go. So take my gravel and just sprinkle it on over where the Yoo-hoo is. It's a messy job this one, but it's alright, so I'm going to gather up all the excess in a minute and stick it back in the little pots. gravel like this is pretty good. I actually came across this one, got this lot by accident, this particular lot of white stuff. Can't remember where it came from. It got given to me. But it comes in a 2 kilo sack, so it's going to be some time before I run out of this stuff. Even if I use it with gay abandon on all my models. Yeah. Stick that down there. Yeah, one lot missed in there, look. Right, pick it up, shake it off. Hurrah! Gravel. Look, how cool is that? Right. So, now wheel the brush and Mod Podge it, sand everywhere else. I will also make sure I get, we'll put sand in here in the stable, and I'm going to put sand in between some of the cracks out here in the yard as well, because it'll be able to paint that up as mud. So I just need a brush, and I need Mod Podge. Here we go. Scream louder, girls. Scream louder. Oh, you know how this works. You don't need to watch me glue a board, do you? Jesus. Hey, how many times can you watch the same guy put Mod Podge on cardboard and hardboard exactly the same way? Well, we're going to do it again. No, we're not. I'll show you when it's done. My biggest issue now I've got the ground floor pretty much assembled, is deciding what I'm going to make the first floor out of. I could make it out of more XPS foam, or I could use 5mm foam board. There are advantages to both. XPS foam, I'm enjoying making models out of XPS foam. With XPS, I could texture it. It doesn't have to be stonework. The wall's going to be quite thick, and if I make the floor out of XPS foam, that's going to be really thick as well. It might make making an arch here easier, but I'm probably going to use balsa wood on the top and do this as a half timber building, the top half of it. So I'm probably going to go with my default plan, which is 5mm foam core. And the easiest way to do this is probably going to be to build the whole first floor all as one piece, and that would just lift off, and then probably make a roof all as one piece as well. It's going to overhang the front here. That's what the path is there for. It's going to overhang and come right to the front. I'm going to give it a go that way. So I think the only XPS foam I'm going to use will be the chimney stacks. That will make sense to continue the chimneys in the same foam. So the rest of this video, I think, then is going to be the making of the foam core upper section, maybe, possibly. Let's see how we go. Alright, that's my 2 floors cut in 5mm foam board. I cut out a hole here because I've got a staircase here, and I cut out a hole here because I've got a staircase here. I also cut out this hole wrong because I'm incapable of measuring things. So the first cut totally was over the top of the wall. Yay, go me. Can we see that? Yes, we can. However, that's going to get covered up by an internal wall. So my ineptitude of measuring things, yeah, I'm going to get away with it. Apart from the fact I've shown thousands of people on YouTube. Damn, I didn't think that through. So, next thing we need to do then is make walls. I'm going to make walls for these 2 things, and then I've also got to make the bit that goes in between, which isn't going to have a floor in it, or it's going to have a floor over here. And there might be steps. Oh, I don't know. Oh, it's a complicated. Let's make a building with an arch that goes right through the middle. That won't be complicated at all, will it, Tim? You bloody idiot. Let's make a model that's going to be nice and simple, just so we can kind of like get it banged out and kind of like get it done and it'll look really cool. No, let's make it look nice and complicated, just to give me extra headaches. I like the idea of having an arch on and in. It'll be really cool. Here and here It will look fab, and also be a complete pain in the neck. Still. So I'm freehanding this arching here. I've had several attempts. This is the one I'm going with more than anything else. I measured a central point, I measured up to a particular point, and then I freehanded a curve that way and tried to go the other side. So this might not be a perfect arch, but it's going to look pretty good. I was always quite good at drawing line graphs and curves in maths at school without taking my pencil off the paper. So I'm trusting my gut and making the arch without anything else. I did have a go trying to kind of like draw around a lid, but it squashed, so sod that. Use the force. That's what I'm doing. And I'm cutting out the arch with a scalpel, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer it up to the other piece of foam core that I'm using. So here's now the front of the model. And these are the floors on in both places, and this arch is going to sit here like that, and then I've cut, or not, it's going to fall over straight away. I've cut this piece of foam core, which is going to provide the back wall for this section and come across just to rest in there, and I'm going to put another archway in there, and then I'm going to stick those two on. And then walls on either side. Well, I'm not going to stick them on because I haven't cut the windows out. And then I'm going to use thin Coke box or breakfast cereal box to make the inside of the arch, so it goes all the way down there. And this whole first floor is going to lift off in one piece, because I'm trying not to make this model too complicated. Famous last words. Magrathea Builder of Worlds, Timmy Tim Tim, Fat Hobby Gandalf, making a model that isn't too complicated. That'll be today. Alright, so now look, I know it doesn't look like much at the minute because it's just white boxes, but this is the process. This is the first floor mocked up, and this is where we're going to stop today. I've got my overhang sorted out, I've got my archway cut in. I haven't done anything in the archway yet. And there's a bit of me saying, I'll have a room in here because there's going to be a window in there and that kind of thing, but that's mostly going to be archway there and sealed over. So the first floor is going to lift off all in one go. The roof will lift off. I'm probably going to make the roof all one thing as well. I've got to work out where the windows are going. I haven't stuck this together at the moment. All I've done is dry fitted this using my dressmaking pins. So it's all pinned together just so I can make sure it fitted. Now I've got to go back and work out where I'm going to put windows, and it all needs balsa and that kind of thing. So, and then I've got to build a roof. But this is quite a good place to pause. Around the back of it, we can see that we've got there's a decent amount of room for getting a unit of skirmishers in there or something like that, or for yeah, you can get a number of different figures in there quite easily, which is fine. Doorways are quite large, but actually I'm going to probably put a balsa trim in those, so they're okay too. They'll be alright. So quite big. It's going to look pretty neat. I'm quite pleased with this. Fellas, in the doorway. The archway, of course, has got to be quite large because you need to be able to roll a whole vehicle through it. Let's see what I've got. It says hoping this is wide enough. Oh, here we go. Oh my word, look at that. It's as if it's made to fit. That's alright, that goes in there right, doesn't it? Yeah, cool. Nice. I could see this working for all kinds of systems. It's going to look alright. Okay, so that's where we're getting to at the end of this video. We've got the ground floor made, the base has been textured,
all of that has been done in XPS foam. We've worked out the layout of the building. We've mocked up the first floor now, so we've got the stairwells in place. We've worked out where the arch is going to go and the main structure of the first floor. I've got to work out where the windows are going to go. I'm going to put them on, and I've also got to work out the roof. The roof is going to be all in one section. That will all lift off in one go, and that is going to need tiling, obviously. I've got chimneys to make, and I've got balsa wood work to do as well. So there's going to be one more video detailing the upstairs of the first floor, adding the balsa wood, the half timber structure, making the roof, and then painting the whole thing. I'm really pleased with how this is coming along, to be quite honest. It fits quite nicely, it works nicely on the foot square tile it's going to go on, and I think it's going to work pretty well with the different periods and systems that are coming along. I've got some Warhammer figures on this down here, but actually let's just place a couple of historical chaps. They'll do fine too. All sorts of different periods. I'm getting a seal of approval from every dimension. So, if you want to see what happens and how this Warhammer Fantasy Battles 6 build turns out, you need to make sure you watch the next video. If you haven't subscribed to this channel already, I don't know where you've been this last year, but click subscribe. There's a link down below. Click on the button, do the thing. You know how this thing works. And then you'll see part 2 of this build. Please do comment and let me know what you think about the model so far and how it's going, modelling techniques and all that kind of stuff. Give me ideas about what else I could be doing with this model. I'd love to get people to contribute and maybe make suggestions about what I might think about building next. You never know. So yeah, give us a like and make a comment down below. And if you want to be in the running for getting a piece of scenery made by me, this kind of size, then you ought to consider joining my Patreon. I think I said that at the beginning of the video, but if I didn't, now's a good time to think about that as well. There are links down below for my Patreon page, and the first draw for a piece of Magrathea Builder of Worlds for Patreon members will be made in around about the 9th of August this year in 2021. 9th of August was last year, was the first actual build video I put up. So I'm going to celebrate my first anniversary by having a draw for my patrons, and the first draw is not going to be a random piece of scenery out of my collection. It will be a commission build this kind of size. So if you fancy me making you a piece of scenery and having your piece of scenery that's being made for you featured on this channel, then go over to my Patreon and check that out as well. Apart from that, I hope you enjoyed watching this build. I'll see you again next time on Magrathea Builder Worlds. It's quite well for all of you.